Hello everybody, welcome back, and this is something I wanted to do for a long time now. This was originally supposed to be a more elaborated video with a lot of editing and stuff like that, but I decided in the end it was just better to just do it like this, a bit more free way, you could say, because otherwise I would never do this before. What I'm gonna talk today is actually an interesting topic in my opinion. As we all know, ARMS is a game that is heavily based on boxing, duh. But what many people don't realize is that you can actually apply real boxing techniques and styles to this game and actually improve your game. So that's what I'm gonna be teaching you today. I'm gonna be talking about the three main styles of boxing, the relationship with each other, and we're gonna be looking at a few examples. Hopefully with this we can get a bit more people basically enriching their fundamentals, basically their basics. It did help me a lot when I was starting in ARMS, so I hope it helps all of you. Okay, so we are here at the character selection screen. Two things before we start with the proper explanation. Number one, I'm gonna refer to all the characters in the list with their default loadouts. I'm not gonna count changing loadouts and stuff like that, but I will mention the ARMS at the same time. And second, I think there's gonna be two big questions you guys are gonna have that I'm sure are gonna appear in your head during the explanation. I'm going to refer to those after everything, so by the end of the video. So the first type of boxer we are gonna talk is the swarmer boxer. Swarmers are known for their speed. Usually they have very low reach and very short reach in their arms, but they use their stamina for mobility. They like to be really close and personal and just do a barrage of punches, just not letting the opponent rest. In real boxing, a good few examples will be, for example, Henry Armstrong and Rocky Marciano. And in ARMS I think that the two best swarmers with that definition of getting close and personal are gonna be Ninjara and Kid Cobra. Why do I think this? Ninjara, for his side, he is all about speed. Even his block allows him to just close the gap between him and the opponent and just go forward with his attacks. Kid Cobra is basically the same. His Cobra dashes allow him to excel at mobility, even going under attacks, and his gigantic gear of 5'6" basically allows him to block the opponent in a corner. If Kid Cobra gets you in a corner, we know that it's very difficult to get outside of that. In terms of arms, Stone is probably the best swarmer arm in the game, basically. Things like Chakram, Dryball, Funchok, and even Whammer can be excellent to use force an opponent in a position. After that, some other arms that are really good for a swarmer style will be ice arms, basically to just force the opponent to not move a lot. Electric arms do stun opponents for a few seconds. And Scully, funny enough, because of his speed, he can actually do a lot of damage, and the poison itself is basically an amazing swarmer option. Now, I know, as I said, this is gonna be referenced a bit more in the end of the video, but I know there's another characters here that can be considered pretty good swarmers. For example, Springman can be considered a good swarmer. Springton can be a good swarmer. Blue Mask Misango can be an excellent swarmer, amongst a few others. But I'm gonna explain that, as I said, at the end of the video. Swarmers are extremely good, as I said, just closing the gap, so they do amazingly against the second type of boxer we're gonna talk about, the outboxer. And if you guys follow me or my videos, my streams, you know exactly what I'm gonna talk about here, because it's the style I play the most. The outboxer is the exact opposite of the swarmer. While the swarmer likes to be close and personal, the outboxer is the opposite. He wants to stay away from a fight. He wants to use their mobility to escape any pressure, and trying to take advantage of missed swings. So the moment the opponent makes a mistake, they go for it. In real life boxing, outboxers tend to win more because of points rather than knockouts, because they just go for the evasion. Though some boxers in this category can also be aggressive, it's not out of the realm of possibility. The two best examples in real life about outboxing will be Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Muhammad Ali himself, for example. They were known for being very evasive in these maneuvers. Funny enough, I think that in terms of arms, and I think this is just a coincidence, I don't think it was on purpose, most of the female characters are outboxers. Weirdly enough. We have Twin Tail as the best example. We have Ribbon Girl as the second best example. And then you have Min Min as the third best example in that order. So Twin Tail's ability is all about being an outboxer. She basically slows down anything going at her and forces the opponent to make a mistake. You create the mistake for her. It's extremely easy to play an outboxer star with Twin Tail because of that. And in terms of arms, her basic Laura does exactly what an outboxer wants. She wants to keep opponent in a place so she can get away or push people away with ice, wind and electric. Ribbon Girl is kind of an outboxer thanks to her air mobility and her quick drop, so she can also force mistakes when the opponent is trying to aim her in the air and then just quick drop and then go for the offensive. And lastly, Min Min, I put her as the third best example because her kicks can create mistakes and stuff like that, but it's not really that amazing when comparing to Ribbon Girl or Twin Tail. But she does want to be a bit of an outboxer because she wants to get Dragon Arm. She wants to stay away to get the Dragon Arm and then she can go a bit more aggressive or change her style immediately. Another examples of outboxers, I think they're gonna be, aside from the trigger, Helix is pretty outboxing in my opinion, though not a perfect outboxing. Lola is also a pretty good at being an outboxer, though again she's not as prominent as the Ribbon, Twin Tail or Min. Bloom as Misango again can be basically an outboxer with that speed. And even characters like Kid Cobra and Ninjara can be considered outboxers in a certain way. And I'm gonna be, as I said, explaining a bit more at the end of the video. In terms of arms, the best arms for an outboxer are anything that can give you time, basically. So for example, Wind is just amazing for outboxers. You can just keep people away the entire time. Ice is also amazing to just keep people away from you. Fire with the hard knockdown can also be really useful. You just hit the opponent once and then you can move away. And also even explosions can be really useful for an outboxing. And I did forget to mention them in the Swarmer part because yeah, explosions are also really good for a Swarmer. And as I said, if you guys have followed me for a long time, you know I like to play an outboxing style most of the time. I like to stay away from you. I like to use things like Popper to keep you away from me. And only in certain occasions I go aggressive. So we're gonna be seeing that in a bit more as I'm gonna be analyzing a few fights from a few days ago. Outboxers do really bad against Swarmers because the Swarmer can just stay inside an outboxer, can stay in the area and just pummel the outboxer with a lot of punches. Usually without giving the outboxer a time to escape, which is difficult for the outboxer to escape pressure basically. The outboxer however does really good against the third and last one of the triangle theory of boxing, which is the Slugger. The Slugger is the complete opposite of both the outboxer and the Swarmer. The Slugger is more about being brutal, basically. Usually they can just end a fight in a few punches because of how strong they are, and they can just tank a lot of damage, basically. Their main weakness is usually just the lack of mobility. Unlike the Swarmer of the Outboxer that use their stamina for mobility, the Slugger will use the stamina for durability, basically. Some good examples in real life of sluggers are George Foreman and Bob Foster, just to name a few. And with that description, do I really need to go in the character select screen to the main sluggers of the game? You probably already know, but those two are clearly Master Mommy and Mechanica. Master Mommy is literally a slugger in every sense of the definition. He's slow, he takes half the damage from everything, and he hits like a truck with his regular Laura, being a Megaton and 2 firearms. They did, however, give him something that a slugger would love to have, which is the healing factor. Mechanica is like the opposite way of making a slugger. She does have the armor, she does have pretty good damage with her loadout, but she has mobility, something that a slugger usually doesn't have. Other good examples of sluggers would be Max Brass, Red Mask Misango. Maybe you can put a Springtrunk and Springman in the mix, but I don't think that as good as slugger as they can be Swarmers. In terms of arms, anything that hits hard is amazing for them. Usually the heavy arms, fire, basically explosions, big arms also. Lockjaw, for example. Lockjaw and Parabola, for example, in my opinion, are a slugger. Are a slugger Laura, basically. The shields also are very good for slugging gameplay because they're just gonna stop anything in their place. Slugger boxers in the end are really good against Swarmers because the Swarmer wants to get in, so they get in the reach of the slugger and get punched really hard, really quick. But sluggers do have a struggle against the outboxing style because the outboxers can just move around the slugger and just wear them down. This is actually backed by the fact that during a GDC 2018, producer Josuke Yabuki talked about the win ratio of the characters, and it showed that Master Mommy was having a struggle against Min Min and Revolver, characters that, as I said, I think were designed as outboxers. However, he was doing really well against characters like Ninjara and Kid Cobra, which were, in my opinion, designed as Swarmers. So there is a little bit of backup there, and you can tell that there is design of real boxing in the game. So that's very important to just take into account. So I made this a few years ago, basically to show exactly what the thing is. The triangle theory of boxing applying to arms. And the exact same things I said are in this easy to read chart here. I shared this when ARMS went into the free trial and invitational in 2020, and a lot of people agree with this. It helped them getting a start in the game. That is the most important thing. This is not gonna make you the best player, but it's gonna give you a lot of fundamentals that I think are really useful in any player. I just am trying to, as I said, I just really want to have people to understand the game a bit better. That is not just long range punching. The game actually has a bit of a strategy. If the opponent is going really fast and hard on you, you hit them harder. If the opponent is going really slow on you, you abuse that the slow and just go around that. That way you can always get the punches. Okay, and now that I gave you guys a crash course on the styles of boxing, which characters I consider to be part of those styles and how the styles relate to each other, we're gonna be checking a few matches from my most recent casual lobby. We had the opportunity that this was a lot of this was just 1v1 fight, so I try my best to play in all the different styles I know, just to show a little bit of everything. So the first match we're gonna be checking here is against False King. He specifically plays a twin tail using Sparky and Chilla, while I was going with Chakram and Dragon. So at the beginning of the fight you can tell that I'm going for the attacks. I know exactly what False King wants to do. And I know that Twin Tail plays a bit more on the outboxing style, but False King is trying to get me with the eyes and then going for a more aggressive style. So I get the Dragon Arm, And I use their throw. Grabs are really useful for the outboxers basically because it allows them to stay away. However, now that I have the Chakram, I know that I can go a bit more aggressive, so I decided to... Okay, fighting outboxing with outboxing is not working. I'm gonna go Swarmer this time. I'm actually changing a bit my my way of playing to be more aggressive, to be more in Falsking's face. However, at the moment I'm basically back against the wall. I try to go a bit more outboxing. I try to go back to the outboxing just to get the Dragon Arm and trying to basically get a bit of an opening. Specifically here, I managed to catch Falsking with a rush, and I'm staying as close as possible. Not as close because I don't want to get hit with the Chilla, obviously, but I'm trying to close the gap. I want to make my arms to fly as little as possible, basically. And because of the size of the Chakram, I can easily just get the win there in a very fast way. Win there, basically. Just because I know that Twintel benefits from altering the course of the battle with the Actress Aura, so I went with a more offensive thing, something that is not really giving her time to react to that. For our second match, I'm fighting Crash Car, who's using Master Mommy, and more specifically, he's using a Master Mommy with a shield, which is a very slugger type of character. And he's also using a Cooler, and to avoid basically me playing as an outboxer, it's actually gonna allow him to basically nullify my movement. But I do know that he loses mobility when he's using the clapback, so I can just stay away and just going for a small hits with the dragon. I know that I can keep it like this. The only thing that is really worrisome here is Master Mommy's healing, because with Popper I'm not gonna outdone the heal as fast as I want. I eventually try to close up the gap a little bit because I have the rush. I try to go a bit more aggressive, however I'm still trying to keep my distance as an outboxer. I did fail the Wind Jabuki there. But as you can see, because I keep my ground there and I keep my distance, I was able to react to his rush. And basically get the advantage there. Here I'm actually going a bit way too close, which I shouldn't be doing. But eventually I do get the distance again, and I just go for hits there. I know that if he throws the shield, I can actually just move around the shield a little bit and just hit him before anything happens. Basically that's the Outboxer versus Slugger fight. It basically allows the Outboxer to just go around and just get the hits, while the Slugger is still trying to recover from his own hits. And the third fight we're gonna be looking at is against Emperor in Via Dolce. I didn't talk about the stage, I'm gonna do that after this, really quick. You can see here that he starts with a little hit, but I know that Mechanica plays like a Slugger, so the only thing I can do is just waiting. I'm just waiting right here. I avoid the first hit with the Sparky and I just get the revolver shot. And I know exactly how Sparky and Whammer move, so I can just try to avoid most of them and just go for the small hits. I'm not gonna get every single hit, but I'm getting enough damage to keep the fight in my favor. Right here, for example, I'm just moving around using Mimi's mobility for that, and I managed to move around the rush and just get my own rush in return. Because the whole outboxing style helped me here, and he was using arms that are very slow, very slugger-like, so I was able to move around that and just react to the stuff correctly and get everything. And something that I realized I didn't talk about, and I'm gonna include it really quick here in the video, is the stages, because the stages also influence a lot which type of boxing style is gonna be good in different stages. I'm not gonna go through every stage, but just for example, Sparring Ring is amazing for Swarmers because of how small it is, but Outboxers are gonna struggle here because they don't have space. They don't have enough to just get their stuff done. Meanwhile, a stage like, for example, Cinema Do is really good for an Outboxer because it's so big and you can literally just jump on the cars and just make the opponent miss a lot of hits. So it's an amazing stage to just stand back, charge everything, and get long range hits. Meanwhile, other stages, for example, Buster Beach is an amazing stage for a Swarmer style, especially because the hot pockets, as the community calls them, literally can keep a person there and it's never gonna leave. It's really useful for an aggressive playstyle, basically. And with that, that was a very quick basis of the boxing styles and how it relates to arms. But as I say, there's probably two questions you guys have right now, and I'm gonna address them. Number one, what about the characters I didn't talk about? Because I didn't talk about every character. Well, you see, while the three styles I use are using what is called the triangle theory of boxing, there's a fourth known style that is usually acknowledged. It's called the puncher boxer. Puncher boxers are basically an amalgamation of the other three styles. So every character I didn't directly mention can technically be considered a puncher boxer because they have an easier way to just be any of the three styles. So for example, Springman, Dr. Coil, Misango, Lola, Max Brass, Helix, Bite and Bark, Springtron, I think I accidentally skipped him. All of them are very versatile basically, and they can go for a very aggressive style or they can go for a very defensive style, either Swarmer, Outboxer or Slugger. So I count them as puncher boxers in that regard. And second, and I think this is the most important question of all, but Tom, I don't play in the way you say. And you are completely right. This is called a theory for a reason. Every player plays differently. I've seen aggressive mechanics, I've seen defensive, I've seen aggressive miming, I've seen defensive ninjaras, I've seen defensive and offensive master mummies. Everything is fair game. But in the end of the day, those bases are still being used. Somebody that plays an aggressive style is gonna have an easier time against someone that doesn't play well under pressure. As I said, my biggest weakness is being under pressure myself. So in one way or another, if you look at how your opponent is playing, you can technically have a basis of a counterplay. Is it gonna be 100% useful? No. It's everything different depending on different players. But this, I hope, gives you the basis. And with that, as I said, I wanted to make this video for a long time. Even though it's not the super big production I wanted it to be, I still think it's a good way to just get it out of there. I really wanted to do this. So thank you everybody for watching this video. I am trying to do more YouTube unique content while also streaming on twitch.tv/GameMasterTom. I do ARMS twice a week, I do other games. Again, thank you everybody for taking their time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.